Meet Justin Breen. He's the founder, CEO of an exclusive connectivity platform called BR Epic Network, and he also runs a global PR firm. His newest book, Epic Life, has been the #1 overall book for sales at Amazon Kindle.
1, bankruptcy or potential bankruptcy. 2, depression. 3, highest level of anxiety that you can imagine. 4, likely and or possible traumatic experiences as a child or young adult. So for humans, business owners, consultants, those are excuses. Top visionary on planet, figure it out.
Welcome back to my show, and thanks for joining in with us. Today, I think we're going to put it all together. Now, you're here to learn from the success of others, and we have a lot of challenges out there. I know it seems like too many. Yet, when we listen to people who made it to the top of their category, people I call elite entrepreneurs, we begin to see that success is easier than we may think. And I think it's not so much that we spent years and years pushing up the hill, but the fact that eventually we did make it up the hill to success. You always have to keep your sights on the top. And if there's anything you get from my weekly interviews, I hope that's one of your best takeaways. Well, today we're going to talk about making your life epic with Justin Breen. And while we're at it, this is all about helping you and your friends turn your vision into reality. We want to help you get very successful at growing your business to a high sustainable level. And we're going to help turn you into an elite entrepreneur. Meet Justin Breen. He's the founder, CEO of an exclusive connectivity platform called BR Epic Network, and he also runs a global PR firm. His newest book, Epic Life, has been the #1 overall book for sales at Amazon Kindle. I think that says enough. Let's move on our journey to success. Hi, Justin. Welcome to the Tony DUrso Show.
Well, it's a great honor to be here. It's very rare that I get to talk to someone whose father was also in World War II. My father was 61 when I was born. He was a World War II hero, shot down multiple times in combat. Your dad being in a POW camp. Obviously traumatic effects. And then my father, he died when I was 13, but every day that he was alive, he said, the cream rises to the top, the cream rises to the top. So I just hang out with my family and talk to and connect with the cream that rises to the top. So I think we learn a lot from our fathers. And I think
we're going to talk about that. That's actually probably one of my first questions, is that point.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that we're all entrepreneurs, business people in the audience, and we're looking forward to learning, about how to scale our business and improve ourselves. And the title, Make Our Life Epic, which includes our business, it's powerful. And I really think, as I mentioned, it puts it all together. And perhaps just a little bio on you to want to follow your journey to success, Justin. How did it all start for you? What is your backstory? I mean, you told us a little bit, and then what did you do from there?
Well, I appreciate you asking that. I think you're either born top entrepreneur on planet or you're not. I strongly am convinced of that because I literally my entire day is spending time with family or connecting with the world's top visionaries. And then I just talk to them and then learn from them. And I was this person before I was born. I mean, when I was born, my dad was 61, my mom was 27. They met after a drunk driver hit my dad in his late 50s. The drunk driver was killed instantly, and my dad broke every bone in his body and survived. And he woke up and thought he was dead. And my mom was standing over him. He thought he was dead, and she was an angel, but she was a nurse. So that's how they met. My father became attorney in Nuremberg trials, genius writer. He kept a diary of his experiences fighting in the battle of the Hurtgen Forest toward the end of World War II, just horrific. For those who have read Man's Search for Meaning, that's my favorite book, Viktor Frankl. My dad's diary is pretty close to that in terms of the things that he survived. So that's my dad's side of my brain. And then my mom, all I do is talk to the world's top visionaries. My mom has more hustle than anyone I've ever met. The ultimate survive and thrive, no excuses. So I'm a combination of that. And, a lot of folks struggle because they don't know where they come from, so they don't know where they are. And if you don't know where you come from or know where you are, it's hard to know where you're going. So I've learned a lot about where I come from, and that allows me to know where I am and then know where I'm going.
That's really interesting. We could spend the whole interview talking about that,
Yeah.
but for our audience, which is probably more important, more interesting, let's call it,
Mm-hmm.
right now, interesting right now while they're trying to scale their business, is you've gone ahead and you've created this exclusive connectivity platform as well as a global PR firm.
Yeah.
You've made a business, a successful business at what some of us would love to do but don't. So how did
Ah.
that vision evolve? How did you get into and say, hey, I can do this, I can survive and
No, no,
do
no,
really
no.
well at this?
Okay, so thank you. So again, I think you're either born like that or you're not. And so just as background context, I just talked to top visionaries on planet. Most of them are ADD, ADHD, diagnosed or undiagnosed. They're all over the place. And then my brain hears blah, 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 simplify into a pattern. And then before starting entrepreneur journey with zero business background, I was a journalist for 20 years. So talked to top actors, athletes, visionaries, entrepreneurs, performers, whatever. And then it's the same thing, just simplify into patterns. So this is very simple pattern. These are the four things that separate top visionary. There are only four things: top visionary from human, business owner, consultant. And then there's a fundamental difference between a visionary and a human business owner consultant. There's a fundamental difference. So these are the four things. 1, bankruptcy or potential bankruptcy. 2, depression. 3, highest level of anxiety that you can imagine. 4, likely and or possible traumatic experiences as a child or young adult. So for humans, business owners, consultants, those are excuses. Top visionary on planet, figure it out. Create something. That's all entrepreneur life actually is.
Well, while I get my brain around that, you decided, or excuse me, you realized that this was a field you could go into, that you could actually sustain. You could connect people. You could interview people.
Yeah.
You could spread the news. However, whatever your goal or your foundation is on that.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, why did you choose that field? What's the
Shows
overriding
me.
purpose behind that?
Yeah, it shows people are born with they're born with certain things, and then most people they don't do anything with it. They make an excuse. Top visionary will take the gifts that they have and make something out of it. So okay, so you have a loud house childhood. Your dad shuts that down because of trauma for POW camp. You decide to take paper out with brothers. You brave freezing cold weather in Chicago. Okay, whatever, figure it out. Okay, that's what. And then I was just born with a story, and purpose of my life is to connect visionaries to serve humanity. So I've basically been doing that in some capacity since I was a child. It's just evolved and simplified, but it's basically been the entire purpose my entire life.
And you say this purpose, this vision, it chose you?
Well, absolutely. I mean, my father was a World War II hero, shot down multiple times in combat, many times without a parachute, who became attorney in Nazi war crime Nuremberg trials, who was a brilliant writer. And my mom has more hustle than anyone I've ever met, and she's a pure connector. So I was just born like that. And I can barely hold a pencil right. I'm not a manager. It's hard for me to do a puzzle with my children. Socially awkward talking about regular water cooler things, but at this, I just have always done that. So people like us are usually aliens within our own family, community, and verticals. The only people who understand us are top entrepreneurs on planet. So I've been talking like this most of my life, and most of the time no one understood what I was talking about, but you just keep talking like this, and then eventually you find the people that not only understand you, but the ones you can actually learn from, and they just happen to be top entrepreneurs on planet.
Very interesting. My favorite audience right now, or my favorite guests to have. We're talking
Right.
about Make Life. We're talking about Make Life Epic with Justin Breen, and you can find him at prepicnetwork.org. That's B as in boy, BR as in Robert, brepicnetwork.org. Justin, let's get into your vision path here and follow your journey to success and talk about, I think some of the points I have here are in your book. And one of the first things you mentioned at the very beginning is the cream rises to the top. Can you explain that to our audience and tell us what we can learn on that?
Well, thank you for asking that. So I am not an ideator. Most of the people I talk to are very high in ideation. They're idea, shiny object, shiny object, shiny object. I am the opposite of that. But when I hear a great idea, I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. I'll just activate that into my life, and then never stop doing it. And then have been mentored by some of the top people on the planet. And I would consider my father in many ways a genius. And that's something he said every day. And he died when I was 13. And it didn't really sink in. It didn't really sink in until maybe graduating college, and then was a journalist. And so started at a really, really small paper, then went to a medium paper, then went to a really large paper, then became an executive editor at a medium-sized paper, and then eventually cream rises to the top, made my way to Chicago as a senior editor / reporter at a news site in Chicago. And that took 16 years to do that. And then 20 years into being a journalist, job salary was cut in half. Couldn't find a job. And so incorporated 6 days after turning 40, and with zero business background, while I was working full-time at half salary. So this was 2017. Reached out to 5,000 people to find first 5 clients while I was working full-time. And so most people they're not wired like that. Got 5th client and resigned the next day. And then at the time, he's since retired, but at the time he was the top media columnist in the Midwest. Robert Feeder did a story. I'd started my own firm. So that was to start first company. I still don't know what an S corp is. Didn't know you had to pay taxes 4 times a year, and now run 2 global companies that only partner with top visionaries on planet, or folks that will just write the check to become one of those people. So it's just a really interesting lesson in life that started when I was a child, and now you just see it continue to play out.
And what do you mean about the perfection of patterns?
Well, so high IQ is pattern recognition. 140 and above is genius level. That's less than 1% of the population. Almost everyone I talk to is 140 and above. When you get over 150, 160, it's really hard to have any human understanding. Those folks are like cyborgs. Really, really struggle in life. And my wife and I are both 139. So we're like bridges between genius and humans. And what I've learned, my greatest strength actually is to understand the simplicity of life by understanding what patterns that are there. I'll give you a couple of my favorites. And then the really exciting thing is when you recognize those patterns, you can create your own. You can evolve your own patterns out of that. And I think that's really what the key to life is. So my 2 favorite patterns, very simple, but 2 favorites are, one by far is the most favorite. If you have the right mindset, it attracts the right network and creates the right opportunities. So right mindset attracts right network, creates right opportunities. By the way, wrong mindset attracts wrong network / no network and no / negative opportunities. Okay, so that's 1. 2, I just keep making bigger investments to be in smaller rooms, but the people in those rooms are making bigger impacts. So write bigger checks to be in cooler and cooler rooms. People in those rooms are making bigger impact. That allows me to spend biggest investment in smallest room, which is my family, where I can make the most impact. So it's the same pattern. And then the evolved pattern of that is just help create own room, own mastermind, if you want to call it that, own network space, where it's a small room, bigger check for people to be in there, but the people in those rooms are literally changing the world. And then that room just creates a bigger room because people who are making bigger impact want to be connected to people who are making bigger impact because they have the same mindset that attracts the same network, which creates the same opportunities. So it's the same formulas, and then you just evolve those.
I got you. And what about winning the wrong game?
Yeah, it's hilarious. It's like you're reading chapters out of my book. It's kind of funny, but well, so one of my great friends, Scott Danner, pure visionary, one of his favorite sayings is each meeting is an opportunity for mentorship. Every meeting. So this meeting's an opportunity to be mentored, and hopefully what I say can mentor someone else. But every meeting, opportunity for mentorship. So during a meeting I was having with Jesse Elder, another pure visionary genius, I was asking him, I'm like, why are all these entrepreneurs focused on revenue or employee count or number of cars or houses or what? I don't know, making some lists or whatever. And he's like, oh, they're just winning the wrong game. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. I'll write a chapter about that. So the only game to me, the only right game, the only game to me worth winning is two things, because I'm a simplifier. So there are only two things I care about winning on a 10x level. One, experiences in life with my family. If you have a good family life, you have a good life. I have met zero people, whether or not they're a visionary maniac like me or not, that have had a good family life, that have not had a good life. If you know someone who has had a good family life and who has not had a good life, I don't care who they are, I want you to introduce them to me. I have not met one, but this is my entire life interviewing thousands of people. I have met one person like that. Okay, so that's one. And then two, 10xing, winning the right game, network on a global level. Because when you create a bigger and bigger network of the right people, you create endless opportunities for your network and yourself. And what I have found is, again, seeing the pattern, developing your own pattern, own mindset, is that all this business owner stuff that I don't care about anyway, it all takes care of itself. Focused on family and network.
Very interesting points. I get that. Winning the wrong game. And yeah, I am going through some of the chapters of your book. It's the number one sales book out there on Amazon Kindle.
Right.
Very fascinating. And these chapter titles are like, they're so intriguing. Here's the next one. What is Name Your Years?
Great. Yeah. I love it. I love it. So where these chapters come from, there are 30 chapters in Epic Life, and in Epic Business, first book, 30 chapters in that. I came up with the ideas or the names for the chapters in out of 31 for each book. All of the other ones were things that people said, like my dad or Jesse Elder, winning the wrong game. So Name Your Years is from Joe Martin, another great visionary friend of mine. And before COVID, we were talking, and he's like, "Oh, I name my years." I'm like, "Oh, that's a great idea. I'll start doing that, and then eventually write a chapter about it." But it's a very simple way to focus on your year. So 2020 was global growth. So every day of 2020 would say global growth, global growth, global. And so I've joined multiple global organizations. I did not have two companies at the time. So first company, PR firm, started having clients, partners around the world. So global growth. In 2021, no limits. So every day, no limits, no limits, no limits, no limits, no. When you have no limits, there are no limits. 2022 was Epic Life, which turned out to be the name of the book, Epic Life. So everyday Epic Life. And then 2023 is Networks. So two words, Networks. And wow, lo and behold, Brepic Network, the second company, not only does it work, we're about to be named one of top 5 masterminds on planet. My wife decided earlier this year to transition out of pediatrics to become full-time COO of Brepic Network. I never thought that would happen, but that's what happens when you focus and name your years. And she's a great gift, not only to our family, but the company. She's an onboarding machine. And then 2024 will be Century Club getting Brepic Network to 100 members. Well, it'll be well over 100 by the end of 2024, but I've already started saying Century Club. But it's just a great way to simplify your life and your year.
It's a great way to take your goal of that and put that into the whole year. It becomes that goal. I absolutely love it.
And not only does it become the goal, it actually happens. It's happened every single time. I don't know if magic is the right word, but organically, I think, because, like, again, right mindset attracts right network, creates right opportunities. Right naming of year attracts those synergies, and then it just happens. It's super interesting to see it.
I like that. I might just do that too. I like that. I like that. Century members here.
Yeah.
Justin, do you have a gratitude journal?
Multiple ones. Again, because it's the same, pattern formula. I'll explain what that means. So the first thing I do every single day, I've done it for multiple years, is a grateful journal to my wife. What I'm grateful for her. She's a pediatrician. If you think the opposite personality is me, that would be my wife. Warm, loving, kind, relator, just a pure giver, feeler, thinker. And I'm just like, just go. Okay. So grateful journal to her, what I'm thankful for the previous 24 hours for her. Okay. And then every Monday through Friday, I've already included this and that. I do a grateful journal on LinkedIn, which is like a commercial for other people. Grateful for all the conversations, or being on awesome shows like this, or being in all these groups, or all the connections that people made for me. So, okay. So I've done that for years as well, every Monday through Friday. And to simplify what a gratitude journal, at least for me, is, it's two things. One, if you're constantly grateful, it's really hard to be ungrateful. Constant gratitude really destroys any amount of ungratitude or ungratefulness, whatever the word is. And then also, gratitude is a magnet for other grateful people, other gratitude. And again, because right mindset attracts right network, creates right opportunities. And a dovetail to that is, again, my brain turns everything to patterns. Usually visionaries, not always, but usually visionaries like us marry stabilizing humans. Usually, not always. So think like a teacher, nurse, social worker, pediatrician, lawyer, engineer, a stabilizing human. And I have found that for people like us, having that gratitude, that grateful mindset, is the equivalent of marrying a stabilizing human. It's a stabilizer. It's a stabilizer for people like us.
It sure is. It's really something to appreciate what you have. And it seems to just make more, it makes it grow to where you have more things that you become grateful for. And it just keeps growing and growing. It's
never
amazing.
stopped.
When I first learned and used it, when I first started podcasting, now that I think about it.
Yep.
Absolutely amazing. And here we are, 40 million plus downloads and listens later.
It didn't start at that, but the cream rises to the top. I mean, it's the same answer.
I love it. And not to be disrespectful to anyone, if that's the right way I'm saying it, not to be antagonistic to anyone, but this is a title out of this is a main title lesson out of your book. So I have to ask you, what do you mean by avoid boring people?
Well, it's two things. It's a verb and an adjective. It's a verb. Boring is a verb and an adjective. And people who do not have the right mindset think it comes off as arrogant, when they don't understand the difference between arrogance and confidence. Arrogant people think they're great at everything. Confident people know they're great at maybe only even one thing, one or two, or at the most three things, and then they're basically terrible at everything else. I mean, I'm basically useless to society besides being a pretty good dad, husband, and then connecting visionaries to serve humanity. I don't really do anything else. And the last thing I want to do is bore them. You don't want to bore someone with a story or a connection or whatever whatever your business is. You don't want to bore someone with that. And then nothing is more boring to me than talking to someone who's boring and who doesn't think like this, who doesn't think on a global changing the world level. It's confusing to me. I mean, genetically, it's confusing to me how I was born, how my brain is, the story where I come from. It's confusing for me, not for someone not to think like this, but most people don't, which is fine. If everyone was like us, it'd be complete anarchy, chaos, complete anarchy, chaos. But it's not to be rude or anything. It's just if you know who you are and you know who you're not, then you can attract more of who you are. And I'm not a glad handing business owner, PR firm owner. I'm just a very direct visionary, and that directness attracts top people on planet, and then it repels people who don't think like this, and that's okay.
I got you. And another thing you say is mediocre people don't like high achievers, but wait, and high achievers don't like mediocre people. And as I'm reading it, and you can explain this to the audience, is this different from avoiding boring people?
So this is why I like these interviews, because I learn in real time. I would say it's certainly a dovetail and collaborative with those two things. And again, this isn't something I said. It was said by the top college football coach of all time, Nick Saban. So he was the one that said mediocre people don't like high achievers and high achievers don't like mediocre people. So he was telling that to Alabama boosters and fans and players and media during one of his speeches. So, I mean, again, the cream rises to the top. Nick Saban, I mean, if you know where he came from, very tough blue collar roots running up a hill every day. I mean, he's the ultimate high achiever. So that attracts other high achievers, and then it repels a lot of haters. And then you look at any sports team that's been truly great. I mean, the Yankees or the Lakers, you attract high achievers, and then it repels people who are, you know, jealous or whatever word you want to, just haters. So it's okay to have haters, but I just don't really think about it. I just want to attract people that want to change the world together.
It's a great goal. It's a great purpose there.
Thank you.
And part of that, maybe, again, these seem to be kind of tie in, even though they're a little different, but they're just looking at it maybe from another
Time
facet.
vampires? Is that where you're going with this?
No, I don't know. I don't like vampires, so I don't want to talk about them. I'm skipping that section. Too many, just between you and me, there's too many of that going on. But
Oh yeah.
there is, just so it's not a mystery to the audience, you go get the book and you will find out he talks about it. And I'm going to move on.
Okay.
The next one that caught my interest is, this is a great one for us entrepreneurs and business people. Uncertainty is an opportunity to collaborate.
Okay, well, I will comment. I will comment on that. And again, that's from Alan Olson, another great visionary. His network's incredible. And we were talking in COVID virtually, and he said that. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. And when COVID started, the day after the real shutdown, the day after, I posted on social media, this will be the greatest opportunity for anyone with the right mindset, right? Because right mindset attracts right network, creates right opportunities. And that was the ultimate uncertainty, probably in our lifetimes, probably that will ever happen in our lifetimes. I mean, that'll be interesting if anything tops COVID. It might, but I don't think it will, but it'd be interesting if it would. And from a tactical what has actually happened standpoint, second company, Brepic Network, I'm in Chicago area. My partner's in San Francisco. My partner, Mark Fujiwara, he does 8 and 9 figure deals all day. That's definitely not my world. I just like to connect people like us to people like us. And since we started talking in 2021, we have met 2 times in person, twice. Once at the launch party, and another time my wife and I went to visit Mark and his wife, Amy, in San Francisco and went to dinner. Other than that, we've built this entire company virtually. I've never met the person Mark found to build the platform. My wife just hired her first person, an assistant. I've never met her assistant. Most of the members on the platform, most of them are millionaires, multimillionaires. There's some that will be that for sure. I don't know if I've met any of them in person, maybe 1 or 2. I'm trying to think about that actually. Maybe no, I've met 2 or 3 of them in person. And doesn't matter, because uncertainty is an opportunity to collaborate. And so when the rest of the world's panicking and, oh, the end is near, depression's coming down, for a visionary, that's the greatest opportunity by far. Greatest opportunity, because the cream rises to the top.
Yep. The past couple of years, while it decimated so many businesses shut down, so many people have got hurt. I'm not even going to go there. But on the flip side, if you want to call it that, a lot of people made a lot of money because they saw the opportunity or an opportunity to help others or do whatever. And a lot of millionaires were made.
Correct.
It's just a fact.
That is correct. And again, it all starts with having that mindset to understand what it actually is. And again, it goes back to not making excuses and those 4 things that separate visionaries from everyone else: bankruptcy, potential bankruptcy, depression, anxiety, trauma as a child. And it's the same thing with uncertainty. Uncertainty for most people becomes an excuse. For a visionary, oh, this is great. Let's turn that trauma into triumph. Let's turn that uncertainty into an opportunity. I mean, it's the same formula. And again, when you have the right network, all this other stuff really takes care of itself, because the mindset attracts that network and it repels the people that don't think like this. It's really fascinating because maybe 1 out of 30 Zoom meetings I'll have, it's someone that doesn't think like this. It used to be, 25 out of 30 wasn't like this, but maybe now 1 out of 30. And I'll never hang up on anyone. I don't think that's nice, but what'll happen is if someone doesn't think like this, they'll actually end the call early. They're like, well, I don't have anything to say. I'm like, okay, that's fine. It's almost their own limiters to collaborate. Their mindset limits them from doing anything. It's like an excuse thing of not understanding.
It's so true. Some things are just a higher level concept, as you talked about before. Everyone has their world, and some people just can think more globally, let's say. And I think those people that can think more globally, or to reverse it, the more globally you can think, the bigger and greater your business can expand.
Okay, so that's incredibly profound. And I'll dovetail, double down on that. So human business owner, consultant, 99.9% of the world. I'd venture to say our firms maybe partner with 1 out of 1,000 people. It's probably less than that, but 1 of 1,000 is easy. But so overwhelming majority of the world, they care about revenue, office space, employee count, transactional stuff. They're trying to change their world, their. True visionary, true entrepreneur. I'm not talking about a silver spoon. True visionary cares about purpose, spending time with loved ones, true connectivity. They're trying to change the world, the fundamental difference. And the world people want to hang out with the world people. They do not want to hang out with their world people.
Really well said. In fact, as I think about it, and again, I don't mean to be disrespectful to anyone. There does not seem to be enough the world people, because most people are all focused on right?
Okay, so
Growing,
here's where I will challenge
they
that.
want to grow their business, they want to grow their
No,
enterprise, and
no,
a
don't
lot of
get it.
people, what's that?
They don't get it. Yeah, so
Yeah,
they're
they're just looking from their point. You could almost say it's a little bit myopic, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, because you got to start somewhere. So you got to start with putting food on the table, helping
100%.
your family. You got to start somewhere.
Yes,
So
you
there's
do.
no fault there. But we're talking about growing and growing into other paradigms, other
Okay. Can I
dynamics.
give you the steps, the step ladder of growing? The step ladder? From
Please.
a first hand, because if you're not a litmus test for people you serve, that's hypocrisy. So I'll give it from a first hand, and then I see the same pattern over and over and over and over. Okay. So there are 4 steps, 4 step journey. Simple formula. Most people will never get to the 4th step. Why? Because they make excuses and they're myopic. They don't understand. And that's fine. That's fine. That's just not my world. So 4 steps. 1, get to get. Totally fine. I reached out to 5,000 people to find first 5 clients. Pure getting. It's amazing to me that people stay at that their whole lives, but some actually do. Okay. Get to get. I stayed at that for maybe 3 or 4 months. Okay. That's fine. No choice. Then there's get to give. So you're mostly you're giving a little bit, but you're mostly still trying to get. Overwhelming majority of society stops at that. That is pure myopic. I'm glad you used that word. That's a pure their world person. Then there's the 3rd step, give to get. You're mostly giving, but you still want to get something. You're still trying to get something, That's still a their world person. It's a graduated their world person, but still their world. Then you get to the true visionary, the world, pure abundance mindset, pure abundance. Okay. So it's give to the people who get it. Give to the people who get it. I will endlessly give to people like you, regardless of whether I get anything back. Why? Because you get it. You have the right mindset, which attracts the right network, creates the right opportunities, regardless if I get anything back. But naturally, people like us would naturally give something back because we get it. So it's just really fun to be in that space all the time. And again, when someone doesn't get it, they're the ones that hang up. They're the
When you're at that level, Justin, it's almost a no-brainer. It's like,
duh.
you can't hang on to everything. You've got to help. It's the natural. It's like taking the next step, taking the next breath. It just comes natural. You can't hold back that next breath. You can't just stay where you are forever. It's the next progression.
Yes.
When you get to that point.
Whoa. Next progression. So my favorite quote, progression. Focus on that word, progression. Okay. We're all focused on that word now. At least I am, because I said it 3 times. But okay. So my favorite quote, this was in your dad's and my dad's when they were alive. Your dad's not still alive, is he?
No, he's not. He
Okay.
passed away.
Yeah, that would be, if he was still alive, that'd be amazing. But I know a couple of World War II veterans that are still alive, but let me focus. So my favorite quote is from Earl Nightingale. He is the OG of motivational speakers. He was around in the early 1900s during, World War II, World War I, when audio recordings were becoming a thing. And my 2 favorite quotes, I'll give you the 2, but one is, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Progression. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So my worthy ideal is connecting visionaries to serve humanity and spending time with my family. So progressive realization, progression. And then other favorite quote of his is, you become what you think about. You become what you think about. So all I think about is spending time with my family and connecting visionaries to serve humanity. So that's what I've become.
And it's become so easy. And here you are, you're just growing company after company. Absolutely love it.
Correct.
And we have just a moment, but that gets into perhaps one of my last questions, which is very interesting. And it's got multiple levels. So it's going to go over the head, I'm sure, of some people, but it's just enjoy playing. When you look at it from the level we're talking about, it's just a whole new paradigm shift.
That's how I ended the book. That chapter, just enjoy playing, was from our son. Our sons are both very good youth soccer players. So they're one of their summer youth soccer coaches, who was a teenager. He's in college now, Xander, but he had lost his last high school game ever and was devastated. And so I had my kids hang out with him after the game to make him feel better. And then I knew he would say something profound. And he said, just enjoy playing, because it sucks when you lose like this, but just enjoy playing. I thought it was the perfect end to a book, because what a true visionary actually is, they're the most damaged person, the most damaged, those four things. Most of the people I talk to are three of those four things, if not all four. So they're the most damaged person with the best coping skills, the highest IQ, the highest EQ, most hustle, no excuses, cream rises to the top, right? So I talk to 1 to 2 entrepreneurs every single week that have let entrepreneur life destroy their family life, or prevented them from having a family, because they're focused on winning the wrong game and they're not enjoying what they're actually doing. And to me, life is a game just to be won and enjoyed. And I enjoy spending time with my family and connecting visionaries to serve humanity. And I never stop enjoying that.
With all due respect to entrepreneurs, because I was there, you got to
Yep.
sometimes do your 80, 90, 100 hours a week.
Yes,
when you
that's
got
true.
something, nobody's going to come knocking on your door and say, hey, here's a ton of money for this idea you came up with yesterday. Not usually, not unless you know somebody. Usually
Correct.
it's, you got to start it, show proof of concept, build it. But as we've talked about in this interview, there's a point where you can scale to a whole different, I know I've said it a couple of times before, a whole different paradigm shift on that.
Well, and I'll even simplify that. There are only 2 things I care about scaling. I don't care about scaling revenue, employee. I don't care about any of that stuff. For second company, I do nothing backstage. My wife, who's COO and partner, and the developer and all the other people who are backstage, they do all those meetings without me. I don't even think about it, which is great. I don't want to think about it. But the only things I care about scaling are experiences in life with my family, and then network of people like you, because the network and my family are the ones that create all these other opportunities where someone else can help scale it for me.
I love it. Once again, we spoke about making life epic with Justin Breen, and you can find him at brepicnetwork.org. You'll see the URL somewhere in the show notes and so forth. Justin, thank you so much for sharing with us today. This was great. This was provocative. This was mind stimulating. I really enjoyed this conversation. I want to thank you so much for hanging out with us on this.
Tremendous interview. And I'm glad you left Sicily to come to the US, because you're a pure American mindset.
Me too. Thank you so much. Hey, thanks for hanging out with me while I featured an elite entrepreneur who shared with us his journey to success. We talked about making life epic with Justin Breen. We talked about some great points. We talked about his new book. We talked about the cream rises to the top. We talked about the perfection of patterns. We talked about winning the wrong game. We talked about gratitude and avoiding boring people, mediocre people. We had a little fun with some things. Let me ask you this. What did we discuss that resonated with you? And please share this with a few friends to help them too, all right? Let's use this and let's help you move on your journey to success. Thanks, and remember, just take action. Success awaits those who persevere and remain steadfast despite the odds. Sow good seeds, do good deeds, and join me on the next episode of The Tony DUrso Show.